Morning, everybody. So good to see you. Glad you are here. Welcome to Vinings Lake. Be real honest with you. I don't think I've seen this many people in this room since we killed the church. All right. So, and probably need to give credit to Roland Martin. If you don't know who he is, we'll get to him somewhere halfway through this teaching because I want to show you a little something. But to get started, we've been in this conversation for all of you new folks called the Energetic Exchange, a fierce prioritization of your well-being. And what we're talking about is kind of birthed from just a simple question I started asking a few folks around this collective, how are you doing? And many of them were just brutally honest. They responded, they said, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Some use like metaphors like, I'm juggling too many balls. I'm wearing too many hats. Some were like, I am on the edge of burnout. I think we can all be honest and say the last 8 months of being an American is exhausting. And the more I keep meeting people around the country, the more they keep asking me, hey, are you guys okay over there? To which my response is, no, we're not okay. And I know many of you that have been around a lot longer than I have. I'm 44 years old, and I know I don't look like it, all right? Shout out to my mom, all right, who has the best skin in the world, all right? But at 44, I've been talking to people who are 84. I've been talking to people who are 74. And many of them who've been around a lot longer than us are saying, yeah, we haven't seen anything quite like this before. And many of them are concerned about the democracy of our country. And many of them are like, hey, this is the moment. You don't wait until after it happens. You speak up now. And so part of the reason many of us are exhausted and tired is because some of you have been in this fight a lot longer than before I arrived. And what we thought we would do is just step into what our bodies might be telling us. If our bodies are saying it's exhausted, then maybe that's one way that the unconscious speaks. Maybe it's a way that the soul speaks. And maybe instead of ignoring it or doing what our culture tends to tell you to do, which is just keep going, maybe that's the worst thing we can do. If we just keep going, we'll never have the energy to keep going. At some point, we need to learn to stop, have a moment of silence, and begin to actually prioritize our own well-being. And that isn't selfish. That's actually deeply spiritual. And what we've learned is Jesus did it time and time again. Now, we've talked about a lot of things today. I want to talk about a specific subject, and I want to show you in the Gospels where I think Jesus does it in a masterful way, all right? Today, I want to talk about the art of saying no, okay? Now, for some of you, just hearing that title, there are typically two responses. One response is, oh yeah, preach that sermon, I love to say no. Some of you, it's so easy, so easy. Your go-to is no. That is true for me. Most of you don't know this, but I'm an introvert. 9 times out of 10, when someone asks me to do something, the answer is no. And let me just say this. Anne Lamott said it pretty clear. She said, no is a complete sentence. Okay? I don't need to add on a reason. I don't need to tell you why. The answer is no. Okay? Now, because some of you are like, God, but that just feels like I just need you to be a little kind, like Jesus was kind. So no, and here's why. My question is, why do we feel like we have to keep giving reasons for our no? Then there's the other side of you in here. And some of you in here are like Enneagram 9 peacekeepers, and hearing the word no makes you tremble because you say yes to everything. And first of all, we know who you are, all right? You're typically the one in Vinings Lake that plays the role of every volunteer group because somewhere along the way, you've never been learned to say no. I have such great respect. Our church has been growing a lot lately, so our team has been having to reach out to people. and say, hey, we need help. I don't know if you're all aware of this, but we've got a whole bunch of kids in the back. And it turns out when you put like 30 or 40 kids in one room, they need chaperones. Now, I think it's a bit overrated. Like, just throw them in there. They'll take care of themselves. But apparently, like, legally, you have to have like certain number of chaperones for every kid. And so my team's been like, we need volunteers. So I'm like, okay, great. So I'm like, well, when it gets to me, I know it's probably like a big need. So I'm like, okay, great. I'll make some calls. And so lead pastor has had to like call some of you people, all right? Now here's what's great. Some of you had literally said to me, and here, check it out, no. And I am like torn because we need you back there, but at the same time, I'm giving a teaching on the art of saying no, so I kind of have to respect what you're saying. Now, here's what you need to know. I have so much admiration, so much respect for people that know how to say no. Because it's not just that you're saying no to something. You're saying no to something so you can say yes to something else. And this is what I want to talk about today. Now, I want to do it in the context of a story that the Gospel of Luke writes about Jesus. This is found in Luke chapter 12, verse 13. I want to read this to you, and some of you will be very familiar with the dynamics at play here, all right? So let's read this, and then we'll get into it and see where today takes us. So this is Luke chapter 12, verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to him, speaking to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." Okay, let's just pause for just a second. A little context. In the first century, inheritance was usually about land. Okay? A father would die and leave the family land to the sons. Apparently, a father has died in this story without an oral or written will. Now, let me just pause. Have you ever had anyone in your family die and they left no will, no direction, no notes, and you had siblings that were really hungry for all the possessions? Now, I've been a pastor long enough to know some of the nastiest family moments are right after someone dies. Because, man, people get real sticky about the stuff. And what you have in this moment is a bit of a family argument over land, property, furniture, savings, housing. Who does it go to? Now, in this particular ancient Near East culture, in first century Jewish culture, the firstborn son was to receive a double portion of the inheritance, which already, if I were living in the first century going, that's an injustice. Just because this kid's born first, he gets double the inheritance. It's reversed in our culture. I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm the baby of 3. I get triple the inheritance. You know what I'm talking about? If you are the youngest of any sibling, you know our culture has flipped this thing upside down. Now, my mom would never openly say this, but she and I both know I'm 100% her favorite child. And it's a thing that we know. We don't have to, like, if you go around being like, oh, I'm my mom's favorite child, then you're probably not. We've never had to say it because we just know. And here's the thing, my siblings know too. They don't even try to argue with it. They're like, God, it's so blatantly obvious, right? And so what you have in this moment is a flip upside down. And so this man who's commanding Jesus to do something is probably the younger brother asking for the share of inheritance that he deserves according to the law. Now, it wasn't fuzzy because in Judaism, there were specific regulations for this type of stuff. Numbers 27, 1 through 11 talks about inheritance. Deuteronomy 21, 15 through 17 talks about inheritance. And I find this story really fascinating because this man, the younger son, is coming to Jesus and he's not asking him to help. He's ordering him to help. I just want to pause here because anytime you start talking about exhaustion and fatigue and learning the art of saying no, there's typically a moment or moments of disempowerment. Because many of us have bought into a lie that we have to say yes because it's an obligation or it's a duty. And I want to say to you, who said it's an obligation? Who said it's a duty? I think it's interesting as a pastor I helped start this church in 2006. So almost 20 years now, but like 10 years as lead pastor. And it's always interesting. Most of you probably know this. Whatever job you have that you work at, you have your job. That is why they hired you and what they brought you in for. But then when you get in, isn't it interesting how people around you start trying to push work on you that you didn't actually sign up for? Do you know what I'm talking about? This is what I feel in this moment. Because Jesus was a first century rabbi. So a first century rabbi walking around, what does a rabbi do? A rabbi teaches. So Jesus is going around. Now, he's got all kinds of things happening, but Jesus is pretty clear on why he's here. Okay? He's not fuzzy on why he exists. Jesus is doing his thing. And all of a sudden, someone comes in, and because he has the title rabbi, they're like, Rabbi, I need you to tell my brother to do this. It's like an ordering, right? Now, I just want to pause because when we start talking about the art of saying no, just listen this week. Listen this week at the difference between people kindly asking you to do something and then people expecting you to do something. And it's as if Jesus' radars are going off like, yep, nope, totally got that. As if this is some obvious part of the job of being a rabbi. It's as if the man is saying, without saying, oh, you signed up for this because you have the label rabbi. So get to work. Tell my brother what he needs to hear. And how does Jesus respond? I love this. Now, in some translations, it says that Jesus looked at him and said, friend. Other translations say, man. Now, the New Revised Standard Version, which is probably the closest, there is no one-for-one translation, but the New Revised Standard Version is probably one of the closest to the original that we got. It does say friend, but there are many translations that say man, and I don't think it's just man. I think Jesus is going, man? Man? Who set me to be judge and arbitrator over you? God, I love this moment in Scripture. It's profound. It's like, liberating. Because we always kind of have this idea that Jesus is just like he's just like a lonely guy who came in on the donkey. And he's just like here to serve. Jesus is just here to serve. Well, of course he's here to serve. But that doesn't mean he does everything everyone asks him to do. And some of us have this idea that we're just like, well, whatever comes my way, I'm just going to say yes to it. And he's here to serve. And Jesus is just like, man, that's not my job. Think about how firm and confident he was in this no. And make no mistake, it is a no. This man is like, I need you to tell my brother to give me my share of the inheritance. Meanwhile, by the way, Jesus was just doing what he was called to do. He was in the middle of sharing a parable. He's getting ready to go back into a parable. He's teaching his people and some guys there, and he's like, here's what I need you to do. Stop what you're doing, and you need to get busy doing this. And I love Jesus is not like, oh, well, let's talk about your situation. Jesus says, man, that's not my job. I'm clear on what I'm here to do, and that ain't it. Now, this is monumental because for some of us, if we were in this moment, we'd be like, it's not my job, but oh, I love gossip. And I love family drama. And this is why The Real Housewives is still trending. It's still trending. Why would it still be trending? Because, my God, we love drama. We love drama. We love it and hate it, don't we? If you're like me, I love some good, thick drama, family conflict, chaos, but God, I hate it when it's my family. One of the things I love about being a pastor is I get to hear about all your family relational dynamics. And I got to be honest with you, some of them make me feel so good about my family. They do. Because a part of it is a way of solidarity, of normalizing, oh, you're not so you're going through this too. And right now, in the world in which we live, right this second, I mean, can we have more family relational conflict than we have right now? I cannot tell you how many emails I got this week. Part of that's Roland's fault, all right? And we're going to get to him in a minute. We're going to get to him in a minute. But more emails in my inbox that I could ever respond to in at least 6 months. I mean, all the way up. And I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But I was like, I'm going to chip away at them because I like to respond to everyone. I was like, I'm going to chip away at them. So maybe a year from now, you'll get a response, but I'm going to chip away at them. And they're all heartfelt, but some of them, I got one email, and by the way, if you're in the room and you wrote this email, it's all good, nothing but love, all right? I got one email. It was so long that I was like, how long is this? I copied it and went and pasted it, threw it into my AI. And by the way, I have an AI or ChatGPT. He named himself Soren after Soren Kierkegaard. And he named himself, I didn't name him, but his name is Soren. He has an English accent. He talks to me. So I threw the email in there and I said, Soren, how many words is that? And then all it said was analyzing. He came back and said, I cannot compute. Y'all, I'm talking like 5, 6, maybe 7,000 word emails. Look, and this thing is like all the way. And it was wonderful. It's great. I loved it. All right. It's absolutely amazing. Now, all of that said, here's the thing that you need to know. I'm like looking at this stuff and the emails that I got to read, heartbreak at so many of us navigating parents who are trapped in the cult of MAGA and kids who are going, wait a minute, I can't figure it out because like they seem like they're my parents. They raised me. They provided for me. And yet, they're watching their family, their parents get taken in a movement. And it's really, like, I got to be honest with you, many of us are in therapy right now because it has been one of the most perplexing moments in history for us. Talk about cognitive dissonance. Watching the people that told you integrity is the only thing that matters just completely bail on integrity immediately. That is a really weird thing to see and to experience. And so the ground starts shaking underneath you because you're like, wait, and here's where it gets really wild, because then you start going, was everything they told me a lie? And then you start looking at Black history. That's a problem. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but I went to Candler School of Theology at Emory. And here's the thing that you need to know. I had some of the greatest professors. They introduced me. I remember the first time one of my professors was like, dude, I like the way you preach. You ever heard of a guy named James Cone? And I'm like, I don't think I have. He handed me a book, and I'm like, I like this guy. Check it out. The more I began to uncover church history, the more you really begin to question, wait a minute, where did this thing come off the rails? Because you can go all the way back to Constantine and then go all the way back before Constantine, even this early movement in the first century that started. How in the world did this movement that was so pure, that came out of an oppressive empire of Roman oppression, this movement that was the resistance to empire, where and how did that thing, the very thing that resisted empire, where and how did it actually flip and be the very ones in bed, empowering and living with empire? And this is what we're experiencing. And so this is why we use words like deconstruction, because it just starts taking the floor out from underneath you. And in this situation, Jesus is dealing with some family drama. And I don't know about you, but I love to watch it because it makes me feel good. But at the same time, man, I'm also tired of it. I'm so tired. And my heart breaks for many of you. Many of you are in such a strange, awkward, weird spot. And I also know it's not getting easier because Thanksgiving's coming. Oh my God, when you start dreading the holidays, you know what I mean? Like, here we go, it's Christmas again. And is it just me? Is Christmas coming like 4 times a year now? Look, didn't we just do that? I haven't even paid off the Amex the last time. Now we got another one coming. right? Like what is happening right now? Like, but all these, and then it's like you're going to be gathering these people, and it's just strange. And what do you talk about, and what do you not talk about? And all of this is going down, and I'm reading these emails, and my heart breaks, and I'm like, Jesus knows exactly what's going on here. But I love it because Jesus is so conscious and so aware of what he's here to do. He says, nope, that's not my thing. That's not my thing. Now, all of that said, I want to talk to you about his response for a minute. Jesus says no. He refuses to participate. He doesn't take on what isn't his to carry. Can we stop there? Some of y'all are taking on jobs that are not your job. You don't have to take on things that aren't yours to take on. Jesus also refuses to let guilt or shame dictate his yes. Have you ever said no only to find that same person come back and try to guilt or shame you into a yes? Jesus doesn't shoulder the illusion that the fate of a person, a cause, or an organization depends entirely on him. And it leaves us with a question. How much of what we've taken on was never ours to take on? That's the question I want to ask you. How much of what you've taken on in your life right now was never yours to take on to begin with? And I want to ask you this question. And this is between you and the divine and whoever else the other person is. Are you giving more energy to someone else's problem than they are? Are you giving more energy to someone else's problems than they are? Instead of doing their work, they continually dump it all on you. And here's why. Because you haven't learned the art of saying no. And if you are giving more energy to someone else's problems, I want to remind you that problem will continue for that person. And so what I would love to do is empower you. You're not as disempowered as you think you are. I want to empower you and tell you it's okay that son has problems. I have been in family gatherings before where they have like the prodigal son, you know what I mean, the wayward child, and they've all been in therapy all together, the family, the kids, everybody, and the therapist looks at the kid and says, well, tell me what the problem is, and the kid says, I don't have a problem. And then the therapist says, actually, he's right. He's never had a problem, and that's the problem. Some of you parents keep bailing that kid out, and he's never had a problem in his life. And until he has a problem, he's never going to realize he has a problem. You know what I'm saying? And this is what is happening. And it's as if Jesus is very clear. He's like, nope, that's not my problem. That's your problem. So instead of disempowering that individual, his no actually empowers that individual. Do you see what I'm saying? Some of you keep saying yes, and every yes is a disempowerment. You need to empower. Nope, I'm not going to do that today. I'm empowering you. Yes. They need to walk it alone. They need to go after it. Central to prioritizing your well-being is learning how to say no. Not a timid no, but a clear and confident no. You know the difference, right? There's that timid no, like, nah. No, this is a clear and confident no. You can say no unapologetically when you know who you are and what you're here to do. I can't stress this enough. We must get clear on who we are and why we're here. Vinings Lake, our church, we have done that in the last 6 months to a year. We're clear on who we are, and we're clear on why we're here. Because check it out. There are 1,000 things we could be doing. But as a team, we made a decision. This is why we're here, and this is what we are to be doing. And here's the thing. Some people don't like that. They don't like it. My experience has been you cannot please God without upsetting some people. Some people just don't like it. They don't like the reason you're here and what you're doing. But here's the thing. my allegiance is not to those people. My allegiance is to something much larger than them. And so we keep our focus on what is in front of us and why we're here, and we continually do this work until that changes. You can say no boldly when you understand the gift you carry and the way you're meant to give that gift to the world. Friends, the world doesn't need your constant availability. It needs your focused energy. And why does this matter? Because you cannot say yes to what matters to you if you can't say no to what doesn't. And I can't tell you how clear this has been in our church recently, and even in our lives personally, for me recently. I am learning more and more of how powerful it is to say no to some things so I can say yes to why I'm here and what I'm here to do. This week, this has been this week. I'm in the middle of a really strange season for me because I've never written a book before, and most of you know I've told you till I'm blue in the face. And I do hope you buy 12 copies apiece, but I wrote a book, and it's 4 days from release, so it comes out this Thursday. And I am, thank you. I'm beyond excited. Most of you know I have lived with like anxiety and panic attacks. That's what the book's about. So I have to kind of try to keep my body regulated because excitement and anxiety feel the same to me. So that's why even before I get up to speak, sometimes you'll see me alone doing my little thing because I get so excited. It's also why it's not good for me to have any caffeine. But I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. Next Sunday, our friend Felicia Merle will be here. She was a teaching pastor here for a while. She moved away. Her husband took a job. But she's coming back. She's going to interview me about the book. Oh my God, it's going to be, I cannot wait. I do hope you all come back. And there's all kinds of things going to happen that I can't wait for you to experience. But all that said, I have these publishers, and these publishers are now working my schedule. And the board and everybody here has been fantastic. They're like, go do your thing. Like, we're empowering you to go. But so I've been even more intentional about my energies lately. And now last week, I told you about a text message because I've been getting these weird dynamic, like lots of new people that are just coming into our work and what we're doing here. And they're like, oh my God, we want more of it. We love it. But then we've also, man, I don't know if you all have experienced this, but has the far right not heard the dog whistles? Oh my God, people, I don't know if you've experienced this, but people are coming out of the woods to criticize, threaten, complain, put the fire under it. You know what I mean? Like, and I know post Charlie Kirk's murder, like this is what was called on. Like you can call it coded. It wasn't even that coded. It was pretty explicit. And so what's happening is like it's like we're feeling both these. So we've had to double down, like the church has, and then me and my wife has. We had to double down on not taking praise or criticism because both can lead you in a bad direction. And so I'm learning that we're setting up filters, which I never have before. So like, okay, all my emails need to go through here, and the ones that need to make it to me can be filtered through this. It's a weird thing. Boundaries on boundaries on boundaries, you know what I'm talking about? And so what has begun to happen is something really strange, and I'm just holding it all, right? So I need you to hear me. This isn't like ego. I'm as confused as you are holding them going, okay, what is happening in the United States of America right now? And why is a church called Vinings Lake in Mableton in the middle of this conversation? How did we arrive here? And I don't have answers for all that other than just to say we're here and we've been waiting for this moment. So now that it's here, let's not be fuzzy on why we're here, and let's keep speaking truth to this authoritarian dictate leadership. All right? So that's a part of why we're here. Now, so a part of it for me is I've had to sit down now, and this is all new for me, going, what am I going to say yes to? What am I going to say no to? And so you've got these publishers going, we've got all these interviews we want to line up, and we need you to say yes to certain ones. And so I'm like, okay, we'll say yes. How do you make those decisions? And this goes for you too. I don't over-spiritualize it. Here's where I'm at now. Sometimes some people take it and they're like, I'm going to pray through every one of them. That's awesome. Do your thing. I am now in touch with my body enough to know that I can just read one line of an invitation, hang with me, and I listen to what my body says. And you can usually tell about 5 words in, oh, that sounds like a good time. But then they're also about 5 words in, I feel nauseous. Or God, that sounds, you feel this, miserable. Or have you ever read the first line of an email and got tired? That is body language. Your body is speaking. Don't override the system. If you read the first line of an email and you're like, God, that was exhausting. Why do I feel tired? Or you had like a cringe, like, that feels like that could lead in I don't know if I want that. Yes, listen to your body. Don't ignore it. I'm telling you, therapists tell us the body is the second brain for a reason. There is a reason this book went to the New York Times bestseller called The Body Keeps the Score. It knows. And it speaks. And we've been raised in a Western world where we all live up here. And so, let's just put it in AI and pro and con this thing and see how many followers they have and decide if we want to engage. No. I don't have to call on Soren. I've got my own body. So I'm like, hey, body, how are we feeling about this one? How are we feeling about this one? So this week, we got an email, and there's an email, and I never heard of this individual, but I got an email from like somebody who was like working the publishing side of things that said, hey, there's a guy who wants to do an interview, and that's like all it said, and he said his name is Roland Martin, and he's got a show called Roland Martin Unfiltered, and I was like, oh, the word unfiltered to me, like all the flags went off, and I was like, this could either be amazing, or it could be that this guy's like really, really like hardcore MAGA, and that could also be amazing. You know what I'm talking about? Like, either way, the word unfiltered is what grabbed me. I'm like, I like unfiltered, right? Because my teachings are unfiltered, right? So I'm like, that's great. And so we do a little vetting. So I was like, I had some help, and I was like, hey, just vet this guy. We need to figure out who he is. And then immediately like, oh no, this one right here, like this is one you need a part of. So I'm like, yes, let's do it. So we signed up to do it. We did it. And first of all, I can't tell you, good times, people, all right? But I wanted to just show you, because there's a point we're going to this, but I wanted to show you a quick clip. I want to show you just a small portion of that interview and how it went. All right, check this out.
You love Jesus and you love scripture and all of that, but you cut money from the poor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if I want to let it sat. First 25 years of my life was Catholic, but we only saw the missal every Sunday. But since I was 25, the last 30 plus years, I've actually read the Bible. Jesus talked a whole lot about the poor, helping those in need. And what these folks are saying is, damn them, we gonna ride with the billionaire.
Yeah, you could use the word it is anti-Christ. Is the opposite of what Christ taught. In reality is, think about it, it would be the ultimate deception to have that which is against Christ or anti-Christ to hide itself inside of religion with the name of Christ. I believe that's what we're seeing right now. The book of Revelation, the actual word behind it is apocalypse. And I believe us have like a modern understanding of what apocalypse is. But the actual original Greek, it means literally an unveiling. And a part of what the writer behind the book of Revelation is doing, a lot of people see that book and they're like, man, that guy, he must have been like screwing out on mushrooms or something. It's so symbolic and chaotic and looks like he's having hallucinations. But when you get into the book, incredibly profound of how John is writing about what's happening in that oppressive first century world with this authoritarian dictator leaders that had been passed down from the Caesars. And what you see is John is encouraging these followers of Jesus because you have religion getting in bed with the empire and some being convinced that it may actually be the way, like the way to peace, the way to salvation. They bought into this lie. They bought into a myth of like redemptive violence. And John says, no. What I'm trying to do there is I want to expose, I want to pull the curtain back. I want to unveil what's happening because I want you to see behind the scenes of actually what is going on here. And part of what we're doing as a collective, so I pastor this church. It's called Viney's Lake. It's in Georgia, which is like 30 minutes north of downtown Atlanta. It's an amazing group of people, so much diversity. But part of what we're trying to do is on a local level, we're trying to pull back the curtain every time we gather going, hey, Did you guys see that? Did you hear that? And what did you hear? Because here's what I heard.
All right. Now, I bring that to your attention because this is every day for all of us. We're all making decisions. Now, here's the thing. I have had like previous people that have been a part of Vinings Lake that are really wanting to sit down with me because they're concerned about my theology. They're also concerned that I've gone a little too radical left. You probably are familiar with this, right? They're worried, and a lot of them are just saying you're just getting too political, okay? Which we've said here, that is the most privileged statement you could ever make. The only people who have ever told me you're getting too political are people benefiting from the political system currently. Okay. Now, all of that said, I had some options Monday night. I did. I had options on the table, and I had to make some decisions. Do I want to do that, or am I obligated to go have coffee? Oh, it makes me nauseous just saying it. With a previous church member that's concerned about my political stances. Now you and some of you are like, well, you can decide. I did. And I said, man, and you better believe it was a man. Always is. Man, that sounds like something that would leave me exhausted. And I'm not going to change your mind, and you're not going to change my mind, so leave with your misogyny, and leave with your racism, and leave with your homophobia, and leave with all of your MAGA stuff if you want. But I want to tell you something. I am about life and beauty and truth and goodness, and I am about bringing that into the world, and I am about exposing all of this other stuff that is literally claiming to be Christian that is not Christian. And so you say no to that, so you can say yes to this. And check it out. I got off 50 minutes later with Roland, and I was like, God, I'm glad I said yes to that. And if you think you doubted it since, I got up here this morning, I'm like, who are all these new people? And I would just like to say publicly, Roland, thank you. We just gained 50 people in our church this morning, and I'm just so grateful, all right? Now, it's been wild. I don't intake the positives. I try not to intake the positives, not the negatives. Like as a church, we're trying to do the same. You're guarding yourself. These are the times we live in right now. But I will say, somehow you got to maintain your joy. So it's this real tension because you want to be informed, so you watch a little bit of the news, but you don't want to be overwhelmed and have panic attacks and stressed out because it's just chaos out in the world right now. And at the same time, balancing all that, you're like, I better start learning to laugh a little more or I'm never going to survive. And so Katie, my wife, 22 plus years, she helps me with that. She filters a little bit too. And so this week, again, she was just like, hey, can I share something with you? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, we've been married long enough. I mean, you're going to share it. It's going to happen. And Katie has a way of doing it. She knows. Like sometimes, like she listened to that whole interview. Guys, we finished that interview and I got done and I was like, what'd you think, Katie? And she was like, do you want your wife or the tour manager to say something? And I was like, neither. But Katie, we're trying to keep our joy in all this, and that's critical for our team here and just everything that's happening, but trying to keep her joy. So Katie, every now and then, things will be sent to her, and it's filtered through filters, but she'll get it, and she'll be like, I think you're going to find this funny. Apparently, there's a video going around, a short that our team cut, and I am talking about the KKK and all of this, like they said slaveholders were said to be Christians or whatever, and so it kind of went viral or whatever. Well, Katie started sending me this, and I was not aware of all of this, but this is what was sent to me. Apparently, I had on some blue pants that day, and people got really, they just didn't like the pants, which is obviously the most important thing that we were talking about. So I wanted to read a couple of these because they made me laugh so hard, and we got to maintain our joy in all this. But one person said, I'll forgive those trousers in favor of that message. And then one person said, and I don't even know what this means, but, and this is how they wrote it, is man's wearing jeggings? And then Katie was like, oh, also, they don't like your shoes. And I'm like, what's wrong with my shoes? I wear these, there's not these, but normally I wear like these little loafers. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's what I've been wearing them my whole life. They're easy. You just slide your foot in. They don't have shoestrings. It's all good. Wear what you want to wear, you know? People are really concerned about the clothing, but one person was like, you preaching in them boat shoes, man of God. I've never really been on a boat, so I don't really know what that means. Oh, one person said, he's standing mighty tall in those Cole Haans. To which I want to be like, first of all, they're not Cole Haans, they're Steve Maddens, all right? And then one person said, this is the first time in my life I've taken a guy in boat shoes this serious. Yeah. No. You're like, what does that have to do with anything? Nothing, actually. I just needed a moment to laugh. But this is for all of us. We all are making decisions every day. You get up in the morning, you pick up your phone, you start doom scrolling. Guess what? You've said yes. You, hang with me, decide to miss your son's game for that business meeting. You said yes. And with that yes is a no. All I'm trying to do is give you more power. Because some people are like, how are you? Oh, just so busy. That sounds so spiritual. And doesn't it make you feel so needed? But is there anything more toxic? Every time I hear somebody else, I'm just so busy. Why would you do that to yourself? You get to create the world that you are living in. And so I would say when we talk about the art of saying no, go to your calendar. And we have to ask this question in closing, why do we have such a hard time saying no? Could it be because we don't want to disappoint people? Or because we care too much about what other people think? Can I just say this to us? People-pleasing can masquerade as caring for others, but it's really just caring about what others think of you. Maybe we struggle to say no, not because we're kind, but because we need and crave approval. What I want to say to you is there is a big difference between helping people and pleasing people. And saying no doesn't have to end relationships, burn bridges, or offend others. And if you and I can't learn the art of saying no, we will always constantly be living under the weight of everyone's expectations of us. And if you're here and you're like, how will you know when to say no? Your body will know. Ask yourself these questions. Does it feel exhausting? Do you dread it already and it's not even here? How many days does it take for you to recover from that encounter? How long does it take you to detox from that relationship when you see it and you're in it? Does this discussion, voice, event, cause, job, person help you to be you in the world? If not, then why are we doing them? I get it. There are some obligations in life. But I would argue that many of the things we call obligations aren't obligations. This is true for the causes we do in life. We say no to things that aren't why we're here, not because they aren't good, but because they aren't us. And maybe you said something, yes, in the past that you might need to say no to now. Things don't always have to go on forever. You've changed. It was good for you then when you said yes, but now it's not good for you any longer. And that's okay. Just because you said yes 6 months ago doesn't mean it's still a yes 6 months later. Maybe you've changed. Yeah, we've experienced that. Back in a past life, before I became a pastor, I was traveling and speaking, and I got to a place where I realized this isn't working for me anymore. And I said yes at one point, but then it became a no. Now, all that said, I want to just close here. You guys, you've been fantastic. Thank you for just an amazing season that we're in. I think a lot about you all. I wanted to share this with you. Next Sunday will be an amazing Sunday, but then I'm going to be gone for a little while. This book thing has taken me on a tour, and I'm so thrilled, and hats off to the board for giving me permission, encouraging all of you all being a part. I want to say it now because I don't know next week how chaotic the day might be. Oh, awesome. I don't know who started that clap, but I'll buy you lunch. All right. But I know if it feels like a little personal or whatever, please know one of the things I don't like churches that are built around personalities. So that's part of the reason why I love that I can leave and you're not going to miss a beat. And it's really important for us to hear diverse voices in here. So I just want to say next Sunday we'll be here. Felicia is going to be here. Felicia is in my top 5 favorite humans of all time. I love her. She's one of the few that's in my circle that her opinion matters to me. And so what she says, I will listen to because I know she has my best interest in mind. And so she was one of the first to edit the book. And she is like, I will come in and let's do this. I'm like, fantastic. Now, all that said, I'm going to be gone the Sunday after that. I'll be in Tucson, Arizona at a church very similar to this, which is really cool. And I'll get to share about the book. But my friend Terrence is coming in. And some of you know Terrence. Some of you don't know Terrence. All right. But Terrence is coming in, and I cannot wait for you to hear him. I'm going to be speaking this Friday with Terrence, downtown Atlanta. He does an event called Kill Pride Club, all right? You can go to the website, killprideclub.com or something in there. But he gathers, check it out, it's for men only. So it's a men's gathering in downtown Atlanta this Friday. And we're going to be talking about anxiety, panic disorder, what's happening in the world today, why our collective body is screaming, our nervous system is screaming. And he told me, I've never been to it, but he said there's drinks and food. I was like, what kind of drinks? He's like, the ones pastors love. I'm like, all right. So you can check it out. You can be there, okay? The Sunday after that, I have another friend that's coming in. His name is Zachary Helton. Listen, I'm not leaving you, abandoning you, all right? These are some of the best communicators that I know. Zachary Helton wrote a novel called The Meta Valley Gospel. I read it and my mind went, oof, my heart went, and I was like, oh my God, we got to get this guy. And so he is coming, and I cannot wait for you to hear him. The Sunday after that, I cannot wait. Liz Dyer is coming. Now, if you're here and you're like, who's Liz Dyer? She is the one who invented mama bears. You know what I'm talking about? And if you're unfamiliar with mama bears, this is an incredible movement that started where they begin to just like love and hug and be moms for LGBTQIA folks whose moms abandoned them. All right. So I cannot, when you talk about the founder of a movement, I cannot wait for you to hear her. And then I'll be back on that Sunday, whatever that was, sometime in 28. But I'll be back, all right, and then we're gonna just like finish this series. Apparently, we're still in a series. And then I'm giving you all this because I want you to know. And then I'll be gone again, and our very own Lauren Sabini, and you know Lauren, all right, she's a part of Vinings Lake. She's gonna come. So now, all of that said, you're like, okay, great, a lot happening, but here's the thing. Right now, in light of where we are. I mean, I was there this week with you. We are feeling all of this together. And that brings me so much hope. So none of this is like, oh, do you have words of wisdom? People, I don't know if you know this, we're on the same boat out in the sea. It's called the United States of America. And right now, we've got a lot of leaks in the boat, and everyone's like, what do we do? And I'm just like, I'm not 100% certain, but I can tell you one thing we need to keep doing, and that's pointing out the leaks when we see them. Because the boat's going to sink, and it is sinking. And by the way, here's a good word of encouragement. I'll leave you with some hope. All empires die. Okay? You're dismissed. All right, I'm just kidding, all right? All empires die. However, turns out I'm a man who believes in death and resurrection. So maybe the empire needs to die in order for something new to be born. Okay? So if the ship feels like it's sinking, it's because it is. What I want to do is pass out all the life vest I can and be like, hey, people, let's just somehow maintain our joy in this. Because if we're going down, well, what if we went down with ruthless joy? Now, I say that. Last week, I was in Ojai, California, doing a little book tour. Can I tell you something? I hung out with one of my all-time favorite top 5 people, Rob Bell. Rob has been an influence on my life for years, and we hung out in his backyard. And I started talking to him about what was happening in the world and where we're at and all that's going on. And he reminded me of something we had talked about some time ago. Now, I've read part of this email to you before, but I just want to close with his words because I was at Ojai just filled, and I haven't felt that in a while. To be honest with you, I felt drained recently. But I left just hopeful, filled, even a bit, and here's a wild word for us, optimistic, and challenged. Because he talked to me about saying no in these boundaries and what this moment of us in the United States requires from all of us, moms, dads. What does this moment require? And here's what he said. Love your wife, give great sermons, have stronger boundaries about what you interact with. He said, I've never done email before 3 p.m. I recommend the same for you. I've never Googled my name. I recommend the same for you. I'd recommend for Vinings Lake to not Google Vinings Lake. I don't go on Facebook or Twitter ever. Now, this is him, okay? This is him. See what I mean? I choose what world I'm going to live in. Now, obviously, there are things you can't avoid. But other than that, Cody, protect yourself. This is how you love yourself, Cody. You don't surround yourself with religious BS. He said, are you with me? Which I'm like, yes. He went on to say, this is a stewardship issue. You have a gift to give. And we need all your energies dialed in and focused on the work that you are here to do. Block the things out that aren't why you're here. You are like an athlete in training. Only allow in what helps you do your work. And then he went on to say, because I was thinking a lot about our church and the story, and many of you have been a part of it the whole time, but from the full death of it to the resurrection of it, and maybe it was symbolic for what's happening in our country right now. Because this email that he originally sent went when we were dying. I mean, dying. The loss of 500-600 people, the loss of $1 million in our budget, the worst season of my life when I had to pick up the phone and tell all of our staff none of them had jobs anymore. He said this, Cody, you may run that church into the ground. Turns out it was prophetic. He said, you may end up with 5 in your living room. Pretty close, 12. And everyone around you will call that a failure. But you will have kept your integrity and soul because you kept on your path. You're terrified that you're going to fail. Here's the thing. You might. If by failure you mean large attendance for an hour in a building on Sundays involving music and talking, that might actually happen. My advice? Embrace it. Own it. Let it wash over you. Cody, let go. Lose your life. See where this is going? If you're going down, do it with joy and ruthless abandon. And if you can own this, now you actually have a shot at joy. Because every moment you're still in it is a gift. This Sunday is a gift. Receive it, enjoy it, and play with it. It is a gift. Friends, in this next season, may you learn how to say no so that you can say yes. May you learn the power of boundaries. And may you prioritize your own well-being. It is not selfish. It is essential for the work that we're here to do in this country, in this moment, right now. I need all of you to hear this. We need you dialed in. This country needs you dialed in. We don't need you on the sidelines. We don't need you on the edges. We need your voice. We need your energy. We need your strength. We need everything you have to keep pointing out the holes in the ship. May we learn this phrase. Man. Vinings Lake, if you're new, you fill out a card. My wife and I are going to be right over here. Would love to meet you. For the rest of you, if you are attending the kids volunteer training, it'll be in the back building back there. If you didn't sign up, there's still room for you to go back there. I encourage you to do that. Would love for all of you to come back next Sunday. It's going to be a little different. Book launch is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see you. Peace be with you.